already did that on it.
No worries.
So the first thing we want to talk about, my part is going to be really short, but as you guys know, primary teachers are very, very important, and even more so than the things that you are teaching in the foundations is the socialization and the social emotional that you bring to our youngest learners. And so in working with some of our other districts that have maybe already been in this, a week or so, we've found some ways that they're trying to keep connected to their youngest kiddos. What a lot of districts are encouraging at first here is a couple times a week that you're sending out some sort of video recording of yourself. They are missing you like crazy. And although a picture is nice, that video piece of hearing their teacher's voice and talking to them is really huge, but we don't want the technology to get into your way. So one way that we're going to show you how to do that is through Zoom, and Robbie will do that in just a few minutes. And that's another way that you can just at first bring them together socially so you can play around with this Zoom, because imagine how much fun they would have if they were looking at all of these squares of their friends with you being there. So teaching you how you can get that out to your kids. But some things that some of our other districts are doing are using tools that they're already familiar and comfortable with. I know that some of you use Seesaw to communicate back and forth with your kiddos. That's keep that up if that's something that you already do. If you've used Screencastify, where you can record your screen, you could do a video of yourself that way. The iPad can record directly while you're filming it. Or if it's most comfortable for you, you can pick up your cell phone and truly just take a video of yourself. QuickTime on an Apple is also a very easy way to do that. A lot of what these teachers are doing is just very simple 1 or 2 minute videos telling the kiddos good morning or good afternoon, and just giving them a simple challenge for the day. Find a stuffed animal to read a story with today and snap a picture and send it back to me. I had a first grade teacher that when they left an abruptness, were working on money. And so she said, your goal for today is to find as many nickels as you can in your house and count them up and send me a picture of the total. Different things like that. One part I always worry about, like I mentioned, is the social emotional piece. So it may even be a video of you talking about that it's okay to have a big emotion and have them draw a picture of one of their emotions today. So I really picture, especially that K1, almost a little piece of what your carpet time would be, or your circle time, or your intro to the day. I was thinking, if I was with my third graders, some of the topics that we would be covering if we were in person. So anything you can do to just get a little connection out there to your kids, I think is what's going to make the difference, especially this first couple weeks as everybody adjusts to this new normal. They're going to miss you a lot, and they're really going to want to see you. So as you're playing around with those things, we're finding that a lot of the online platforms are taking a long time to download and render videos. So you really may be better off just recording something directly on your phone, or recording with QuickTime, or just beware that it might take a while for that video to get ready for you to email out to parents and kids. Violet, Robbie, anything you would add to that piece of just finding ways to connect with your kiddos at first?
I think that those are great ideas, what you shared. And I believe that some teams in the district are planning on sending some videos out. They've got some stuff in the works. I don't know, do you guys want to share a couple things that you guys are doing to help other teams that might be looking for ideas?
And you can share those in the chat as well, because we can save the chat. So that's a place where we can share those ideas as well.
I invited students to, oh gosh.
I don't know why we're getting that feedback, Robbie. Do you know why we're getting such bad feedback sometimes when one person's trying to talk? Is it because we have too many computers in one room, or?
Yeah, if they're all in the same room, that could definitely be the case. They're hearing everybody's microphones and speakers going off at the same time.
Okay. We see Flipgrid popping up in the Zoom chat. I mean, truly, I think any of those ways are okay. Just do something that you're already feeling comfortable with. Don't make that another part of the learning curve. We've got another one who's reading picture books, or have the students read a picture book to them, or a few chapters of a book after they read a book to them, using Seesaw. So I think anything you can do to ask them to respond back to you or give them a task is really going to help them feel empowered. Plus, they just want to see your face.
I think that's the key in any kind of these connections that you're going to do. They want to see your face. So just like you all today have your cameras on, I mean, that's an important piece to this. And that's why we do this simultaneous connection too. And the first time you do it, my biggest recommendation is really going to be to not even think about the academic side of things the first time you connect in with them. Really just think about that face-to-face connection and giving them a chance to experience what the face-to-face connection feels like. Especially with your littles, one thing you may want to try too is maybe trying some smaller groups. Like, we're going to meet with 5 to 10 of you at a time instead of the whole group, because when they start seeing everybody, it can get kind of crazy. But I'll show you some Zoom settings later that we can kind of help manage the crazy. But that's just as you're thinking about how you might try and do some simultaneous connection things. Make sure you set the expectations just like you would in your classroom.
Violet, may we ask real quick? We were told that we weren't supposed to be using Zoom yet or sending videos and things like that. Is this our okay now to go ahead and start doing that? Or
No, that's a great question. So a couple things. This is more of a, in the future, here are some things that are ready for you to use in the future. We just didn't want to, in the middle of of whatever's happening, be like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this. So this is more of informative. So hold off and follow what your principals are telling you. Number two, I know Seesaw has been CAPA approved on our list. We have this district list of CAPA approved things. Make sure that if you find a new thing that you want to use, you send it through. I can send you guys the link again where the tech team approves all of these apps and these websites. So make sure you do that. And then if you're reading live on Zoom in the future or anything else, make sure that you have some copyright approval. And in that, I have a document that lists some copyright stuff. You guys know me and copyright. And so I will send that link out to you too. So it kind of gives you a protocol on double checking that as well.
Good. And a lot, as many of you know, especially with the younger kids, a lot of those authors have put out there that like, yes, absolutely read my books. And so just double checking some of those things. And I think that's really what we'll move into now, is showing, Robbie can show you the real basics of how you can create your own Zoom, record a video of yourself if that's what you want to use, or also invite people to join you. So your kids or small groups could be a part of that. And then truly, as the time passes, we can get back together, guys, and really talk about how you can use this as a learning tool and what you can do with it in other ways. We want today to be real basic, and anything you need, just hop in that chat. There's plenty of us here to get those questions to Robbie, and have that conversation. So I am going to turn it over to you, Robbie.
Okay, so yeah, really quick, I'm going to just kind of show you some of the Zoom settings that you may want to use, and I'll show you a couple resources as to where you can find these settings later on down the road when you start thinking about Zoom for your class. Zoom is going to be a powerful tool for you to connect with your teams right now and to be able to still have staff meeting type things and still connect with each other. But I'm going to share my screen. That's one of my favorite features of Zoom, is the ability to share what's happening on my screen or share some other pieces as well, like a whiteboard. Right now I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you a couple things in Zoom.
Robbie, before we go on, can I address a question that was in the chat?
Please do.
The question was about, oh gosh, I lost it. Just a second. This is opposite what we've been told. We were told whatever one person on our team does, we all have to do. Yes. So when it comes to like videos or like instructional pieces, but when you are Zooming with your kids, for example, and you're doing some social emotional stuff, I mean, everybody's going to have their own some autonomy there when they're with their class. But when it comes to any direct instruction, of course, again, this is for future, if something were to go awry and we need to continue this distance learning, it's kind of those things. Does that sound right?
Okay, sounds having heard nothing. If anyone has any questions or comments, please keep those coming in the chat though, because we want to make sure we address all those needs today too.
Yes, that makes sense, Violet. Thank you for answering that.
Awesome. Okay, so really quick to show you a little bit around Zoom. When you're using Zoom, the Zoom client that's installed on your computer is pretty basic, but it does have a couple nice features. The first one is the ability to schedule things. So if you're going to schedule time to meet with your class or down the road, or if you're going to schedule time to meet with your team, you can set up these scheduled events in your Zoom window. The reason I like to use the scheduled events is because I can pre-think about some of the settings for my meeting when I do it. Now, if I were to schedule one through here, I would click on, give it a name, that's great. And then I pick the times. And then I use what's called the personal meeting ID, and I'm going to show you where to set this as well. This is more of a way that your students can connect in, or people who are connecting into your meeting can connect in to a same number every time. So otherwise, Zoom generates a new number for every meeting that's out there. So I always use my personal one.
Robbie, I think your screen is frozen. It's not changing.
Okay. Is it moving yet?
Well, we can see your arrow moving around, but it's just on the main Zoom screen.
Okay, we are going to try and adjust that. Okay, are we seeing that now? Yeah, okay. But then I can go in and I can require some other pieces as well. The biggest thing that I like to do is use these advanced options. I record pretty much any session that I'm gonna do, especially,
Robbie,
yeah.
We're still seeing the main Zoom page. We're not seeing the settings and stuff that you're talking about.
Oh, fun. Okay. Then I'm gonna go here. Let's see. So you're not, now you're seeing.
We're seeing the main Zoom page, the zoom.us
Gotcha.
page.
So here's the goofy thing about this, and I keep doing this and forgetting about it. Any Zoom controls and buttons go away when you share. I was showing you my Zoom app and how I was connecting. Now I'm going to show you here
There we go.
website. So I was in the Zoom app showing you through things, but it's not showing anything in the Zoom app when I do a screen share. So there we go. What I like to do is schedule a meeting here. And when I schedule a meeting, I can name my meeting and put in any descriptions. So maybe this was just going to be a time where I was getting together with my third grade team. And I spell it correctly. And then I pick the date and time of that meeting. It always defaults to like the next hour. So you can always plan ahead and schedule these out. But then down here, you have a couple settings that are really nice. Here's that personal meeting ID number. And I can show you where I changed this. This is actually the same phone number as my desk phone number at my office. But we can change these to be some more friendly names. Otherwise, what happens is Zoom will automatically create an ID for you that can be really tricky to get to. And then we have some options here. If you're doing a meeting with staff, this button here, enable join before host, is okay to have on, because then if you haven't connected in, they can still connect in and wait for you to show up. If that's not checked, then they can't do anything until you're in the meeting. So that's one thing to note. It'll tell them like, oh, the host isn't ready for this meeting. We use that enable join before host with adults. Usually with students, I don't have that checked because I don't want them to be able to get into the meeting until I'm there. And if I'm doing any kind of training, I always record this session on my local computer. I'm not using the cloud right now. If some of you may not even have the option to do it in the cloud is just taking so long to generate videos because of how many people are using it. but I record if I'm doing a training session or reading to my students or working with students. I'm going to record that for those few who might not have been able to connect or were having connection issues. They can go watch it later, and I can share that video out through Seesaw or other means as well.
Hey,
So once
Robbie,
yeah,
there's one question here. The Zoom ID, is that only numbers, or can you put letters and numbers there?
great question. So I'm going to jump right to that next. So if I have this event that I wanted, I can just say save, and it will save it into a spot here called my in meetings. And then I can see that I have that one scheduled for a 3rd grade team meeting at 10. But now that question that came in was great. Can you have different than just numbers? Yes, you can. So if I go I'm on zoom.us and I'm logged into my profile. Under my profile here, I can see here's where I created my personal meeting ID. So this is where I put in just my desk phone number. But what I really like to do is this personal link. So on personal link, you can click customize and you can put in numbers or letters that they can connect into. And so with that, they can go in and like I changed mine right now to ESU3 Tech. That's the one we're using for our 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock sessions. But you could change this to just about anything. Remember, it is only one name allowed per Zoom worldwide. So, but like you could try something like, I might do Mr. Jensen's 6th grade or something like that. You can put in all sorts of different names in there. I know a lot of our staff just use like first initial last name, unless you're probably like an A Smith or something, that's probably already taken. But Greg Schwanke there, that G Schwanke is probably not taken very often. So you can customize this, and that's again just in your settings.
That's because I'm unique, Robbie.
Unique. Yep, good word for it. The other thing to note, there are a lot of settings that we recommend you kind of explore and look at. And we're trying to compile as many resources as possible to support you. Beyond today, beyond when you're working on this down the road, our resource center has been put on our ESU3 website. So if you go to esu3.org and you click on the Teacher Resource Center link in the top left corner, that'll take you to a Google site that we are adding to every day. I'm talking about Zoom features right now. So across the top, I can see Zoom. And those suggestions for remote learning are right here. But there's also items in here for Google Classroom, recordings of every session that we've been doing this week. And now we're starting to see more content-specific pieces coming in as well. As we progress through this, we're going to continue to progress through adding resources to this. I've wrote down already as we were talking and seeing in the chat, I think we'll probably be putting some resources for Seesaw and Flipgrid, just so we can make sure that we can have pieces out there to help you as well. So that's just a quick tutorial of Zoom. When you get down the road of actually doing the classroom instruction piece, let us know. We are happy to help you set it up or test with you and be a test student and see what we can do with your Zoom meeting as well.
So Robbie, if we wanted to, for example, use Zoom as a grade level to maybe send something out to our teachers, what would that look like? We would set up a meeting and then record it. Could you talk a little bit about that? And then the other question that came up is, how do you turn chat off for all?
Yeah, perfect. So the chat feature can be turned off in the Zoom settings on the zoom.us page. You can also do it by session. So right now, if you're in the chat window, what you see we can chat to everyone. There's 3 dots over there, and all you see as a user is the button that says Save Chat. Now, when it says Save Chat, if you're the host of that meeting, you have other options, and those other options allow you to disable any kind of chat. So you can turn that chat off completely. It's pretty quick and easy. You click it, and it goes down, and it takes chat away from them completely. Because chat, especially with those littles, who knows what they'll be typing over there. So just things to be cautious about. So you can definitely do that. Now, if you're setting up an environment for like you're going to do something to record out, you would set up that meeting and you can set it to auto record, or you can click record as you start. On the bottom, you all see a record button right now on the bottom. With that record button, you can go in and hit record only if you're the host or if the host has given you permissions to record. So right now, Megan's the host of this event, and so she has the recording permissions on this. And that'll record to her computer, and then you can use it whether you're uploading it to Google Drive to share out or putting it on Seesaw or some other shared platform. That's how you'd be able to set that up.
Thank you, Robbie. I'd like to pop in and ask one of our principals, Brett, to share a couple ideas that he and the admin team are also throwing around.
Hi guys, how we doing? Hey, one of the bigger things that we've been kind of talking about and trying to determine here is how can we structure our, I'm going to term it as live time. We're going to have two times on, one time on Tuesday and one time on Thursday to kind of be live with our kids. And what we want to try and figure out is a little bit of a structure for what that time is going to look like. Because what we don't want to have happen is all ends of the spectrum happening. One classroom's actually doing brain surgery in their time, and another classroom is sitting there just staring at one another. So we want to give some structure to what that time's going to look like. What we haven't done is to develop that. We need to all kind of get on the same page in terms of what that's going to look like. And I think this whole experience has shown us that we have to make sure that we're on the same page, solely because we don't want so many random things happening with all of our kids. One of the things that we know is going to be a challenge is going to be the fact that working families will not have the opportunity to log their kindergarten student in at a specific time so that they can actually be part of that live time. So one of the concerns we have is, do we really want live instruction happening and for kids to miss out on that live instruction? So what we're going to try and develop is a structure of when the live time is going on. What is that time going to look like? Is that time going to look like I've got an hour block of time? Can I get a story time in there? Can I do a show and tell with our students? Can we do calendar time? Can we do a Go Noodle activity? Can we have time for clarifying questions about homework? If I'm meeting on Tuesday, can I clarify questions of kids' work that happened on Monday and Tuesday? When I meet on Thursday, can I clarify questions that happen on Wednesday and Thursday's homework or set up for Friday? You know, those are pieces that we want to try and structure that hour block of time so that we're not penalizing any of our kids that aren't part of that 1 hour time block, that maybe can't be part of that 1 hour time block, but giving kids the opportunity just to be able to socially see one another and be able to have some structured time like they normally would in their classrooms, but that no new instruction is happening during that time. And that's where we're going to have to rely on our recorded videos and lessons to help us with that, so that teams can then, kids can then have the opportunity to click on those, and parents can have the opportunity to click on those. If we're doing live instruction during that time, and I'm a parent of a kindergarten student, what if I, as the parent, have a question? Can I ask that question during live time? And then if I'm the teacher, am I going to, ask a parent to, hey, can you stop talking in the phone? And, there's going to be all of those awkward types of situations that happen. But if we're doing things like story time, show and tell, calendar time, those pieces, there's not a lot of new instruction that's happening, and we can give a structured time during that time frame. Violet, anything else with that?
I think, yeah, and I think we're still in the planning phases. Again, this is more for later on down the line if it's necessary. Like you guys know, everything changes every minute of every day. I'm going to pass it over back to Robbie. I know our time is limited. What other things are you going to show us real quick?
I've shown you kind of all the Zoom pieces. Megan, were there some other pieces instructionally we wanted to share at all?
No, I think for now, just that basics enough, play around. If you guys need some practice students, we'll put our emails in the chat, or you've got our emails at ESU. So even if you just want to practice setting up a meeting, invite me, invite Robbie, invite someone from the ESU, we can join so you can see what that looks like to host. Or maybe again based on what your directives are, but finding that time at first just to let the kids log on and be silly. I'll even say my 8th grader was a complete goon the first time he got to reconnect with friends, and they really, that teacher just gave them that space for 15 minutes to play around and see each other and look at the screen and realize that they, their friends were still there. So maybe playing around with some of those pieces. When it gets time for the setting up the live times and working with your grade levels or using this to instruct, we are here and we can do this in a more detailed way or with smaller teams. However, your admin wants that to look, we can find ways to support that. We're not going anywhere. So we are available to help with those pieces. Robbie, Violet, there's a couple other questions in the pieces. Let's see.
Yeah, so I'm getting a couple questions here. I'll answer them as I can. So first one, I'm kind of going in reverse order. The Zoom is available on tablets and smartphones. iOS and Android is just a free app, just called the Zoom app. So that is definitely available on pretty much any platform that's out there.
Can you create your own ID in the free version?
Yeah, it's looking like they've maybe changed some of that. So I'm starting to see that no, you can't at this point. So I'm going to dive into that because I thought the versions that we got into Gretna would allow them to, but I'm going to check into that and I will relay that info back to Violet once I've figured out the answer.
And then in case you guys didn't see, one of the other questions was, can you only share the screen if you're the host? The host can decide who can share their screen, but as we were playing around in one of these trainings yesterday, others are allowed to share the screen, and we can get into some cool features with that as you guys get further into this in the weeks to come, or some of that is in some of our Zoom recordings on the website that Robbie showed you as well.
There was a question about how can we make sure we don't have the same Zoom times. We are, I believe we have a schedule coming so that it doesn't overlap. It might, however, if they have a middle school or high school or which is where the recordings will come into play, I think. What's another question for me? K2, 20 to 40 minutes of instructional learning. Yes, right now we're trying to keep it to that time, and we'll see where we go from here. But as of right now, that is true. Was there anything else for me?
Not that I saw.
I think that's it. Yeah.
I think we're running out of time. I know you guys have to go to your other Zoom. So guys, if you have any questions about Zoom or about what's going on here, your principals, I can help you out. Let us know how we can help. Megan, Robbie, thank you so much for your help today.
Absolutely. We are here for anything at all. And guys, give yourself some grace. This is brand new to all of us. So we're learning just as fast as you are and just as fast as parents are. So give yourself some space to adjust. We got this.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.